Coronavirus was just some words when my wife and I left for her seniors community in Fort Myers at the end of February 2020. Just in case you're wondering, that's a picture of a dryer ball, the closest I could find of a picture of the virus in my house. My name is Gary Halyk, a member of Harmony Baptist Church and a survivor of the COVID-19 virus, and I've been asked to say a few words regarding my experience. There have been reports of people in China and on cruise ships that have been diagnosed as having this virus, but there weren't any real reports of incidents in the US and Canada. Down south, we participated in a number of enjoyable activities: pickleball, bocce, shuffleboard, movie night, cards, entertainment nights, swimming, hot tubbing. Most ended with a food buffet where we shared serving utensils. 4 days after I arrived, I developed a dry cough, which persisted through 2 nights. Headache, poor appetite, loss of weight, low energy, aches in my arms, sciatica acting up, and a rash on my back. Hey, it was just like old age and allergies acting up. 10 days later, we returned to Canada. Dry cough still existent, but not persistent. 3 days later, we received a call from Florida where 4 people had tested positive and 1 had died. So what was our reaction? We needed to get checked out. My initial thought was if we tested positive, we had just passed the virus on to our daughter and her family, as they had been to our house hours earlier that day. My other thought was of spending time in a hospital on a ventilator, which wasn't my idea of a good time. That evening, I thought of the scripture I had read earlier that morning in the Sunday, March 22nd edition of the Daily Bread, Psalm 107, 4-9. Then they cried out to the Lord in their trouble, and he delivered them from their distress. Though he doesn't always take us out of hard situations, he promised to be with us always. At that point, I was reminded God is with us no matter what is happening in the world. That evening, I said a prayer for my family and those in Florida. So we tested for COVID-19. I was positive and my wife was negative. This required my daughter's family to self-isolate for 2 weeks, and my wife and I to self-isolate from the world and each other. I remember wondering whether I was on the upward curve of being ill, which would entail breathing problems, or on the downhill slide to full recovery. Thankfully, my daughter's family never showed any signs of this virus. We would later learn that 2 people had died where we were staying in Fort Myers, and over 20 had tested positive, including our friend from Ottawa. So prayer once again. Protection for my family, our friends, and people in Fort Myers, our church family, our city, our country, and our world. Thankfully, my recovery occurred 14 days later. Monica remained ill for a while longer, surprisingly having tested negative twice. We can't express our thanks enough for the telephone calls of support, the front porch deliveries, which included care packages, soup, flowers, and various other things to help us to recover and to cheer us up. In closing, I strongly encourage everyone to follow the new normal of washing hands, sanitizing them, use of gloves and masks, self-distancing, self-isolating. If you ever have a fever, dry cough, or breathing issues, make sure you get assistance and help. Use disinfected wipes and avoid sharing serving utensils. As for me, I continue to give thanks to the Lord and continue to pray for the COVID-19 situation. God bless.